would be on simple storage service S3 and on virtual machines. Right? These are the two widely used service, and for any kind of project that you want to do for your students, you can obviously use EC2 and S3. File, you can even use, you can just download one particular image anywhere from Google, or if you have some image on your, machine, that also we can use for our today's demonstration. You can upload that particular image, and then we will see how that image you can access through the browser directly. Okay, so let's okay, share. So I am sharing my screen. Somebody can confirm me if it is visible. Gitika or Gauri ma'am, you can just confirm me after say 2-3 seconds. I think it is coming.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I think it is now visible, so I can continue with our discussion. Great.
No, sir. The PPTs are not visible, sir.
PPTs are not visible? Okay.
Sir, it is visible, sir.
Okay, it will take some time because of network bandwidth. It is going to take some time. Yeah, it should be, because I have shared the entire screen, so I'm not sharing individual documents. That is also an option in Google Meet, but I am sharing my entire screen. So whatever comes up on the screen, it is going to be visible to all the participants. So this is one of the widely used services. Yeah, thank you. So S3 in short. So again, it is whatever I said, right? You can go and use it for storing any kind of data, any kind of static data, right? And for storage, there are a couple of different devices, services or devices in Amazon. One of them is S3. The other one is block storage, which gets attached to your virtual machines. We have storage gateway, we have file gateway. So there are good number of options. So based on your need, your use case, your project, you have to decide which one is going to be best for my requirement. You have to consider about latency, you have to consider about the performance, you have to consider about the, what kind of permissions you need to assign to a particular service so that, the data upload or sharing is possible. So that kind of, information is going to be needed, right? So one of the main, now this particular service is widely used. What is the reason? The reason is Amazon says that whatever the data, see, whenever we upload any file in S3, it is known as object file in S3 vocabulary. So whenever you upload any data in S3, Amazon behind the scene, what they do is they copy your data to multiple devices across multiple availability zones. Right? What it means? They are providing you additional amount of durability. They say that the data that you store on S3 is highly durable. Right? 11 nines of durability, 99.9999% of durability is what they are, giving us, right? And because of this, because even if you go and store some data on your portable hard disk drive, something goes wrong, you are going to lose the data, right? If you locally also at your Roam also, if you want to maintain, redundancy or durability, redundancy basically, what you will do, you will go and copy your, say, images or, some important occasion information or your data file in two different devices. So at the same time, not both of the devices will be, the data, whatever you are keeping there, they will get corrupted. So in the same way, what Amazon does is, if take the example of Mumbai region. So in Mumbai region, there are 3 availability zones or AZs. So once you create any bucket in Mumbai region, what Amazon does behind the scene, AWS, they go and copy your file to minimum 3 different availability zones. And again, in these availability zones, they go and copy your file. So they maintain multiple copy of file. But as a user, as a consumer of this particular service, I do not need to bother about it. The confidence that Amazon is giving us, they say that just upload your data and forget about that it is going to be lost. So that kind of, durability they are providing for S3. And this is there only for S3, not for other storage devices. There you have to go and maintain the redundancy on your own, right? So obviously on S3, you cannot go and store operating system or cannot think of installing any kind of database here, right? Dynamic content, obviously you have to go and use this EC2 for storing or hosting any kind of application, dynamic application. So S3 is object based. As I said, you can store one particular object, one particular image, maximum that can have 5 TB of size that you can upload on S3. Right? If the size grows beyond 5 terabytes, then you have to break and then upload the other part of your document. But in free tier, we cannot go beyond 5 GB. Okay. So in S3, there is unlimited storage. So as you go and start consuming storage in S3, we are going to be built for the amount of storage that we are consuming. So you don't need to allocate storage. Say down the line in future, you might be needing, say, 1 terabyte TB of storage. Right? But at this point of time, you only need 5. So you don't need to go and buy or block that 1 TB for your consumption, because if you go and do that, you have to pay for that 1 TB. But that option is that option of buying storage is not there in S3. So whatever you are consuming, on that you have to pay Amazon. On that you will be getting the bill. Right? And again, one more important point: files are going to be stored in buckets. Buckets are nothing but your root directory in S3. Right? So for the root directory, Amazon has given it a name with bucket. Right? And each bucket is going to have a unique name in a particular region. So in a particular region, if I have if I have created a bucket with certain name, then that same name cannot be used by anybody else. Right? It is just like your email ID, but the scope is within a particular region. So in Mumbai, you can go and create a particular bucket. You can go and create a bucket with a particular name. And if you want to use the same name, again, you have to go and create your bucket in some other region. You cannot do it in the same region. Okay. So again, there are tagging limits are there. Tagging is there for all the services, right? But this tagging limit there is a tag limit for different services. That count varies based on service to service. Okay. So some of the important features of S3 is like you can go and store some additional information about your objects in S3. Right? What we say it as metadata. There is a concept of lifecycle management. I'll explain you again. T8 storage available. Versioning, we can go and version the object which is uploaded on S3. We can encrypt the data which is there in S3. There are a number of ways of encrypting the data. Right? Some of them are native from Amazon that you can go and use, and those are really good. And the costing and all are also very less. Now, to control the access of your bucket, there is a concept of access control list. There again, using this, you can go and control who can access your bucket, right? And again, there's one more way of doing it with the help of bucket policies. Okay. So, like IAM policy, we can also go and write policies for our bucket. One of the bucket policy I have shared with you all. We will be using that policy for our demo. Okay. Your object is going to consist of a name. Well, the naming will be based on e-value kind of storage. There is a consistency model in S3, and what this consistency model says that read after write consistency for ports of new object, right? So read is only going to be available now since your objects are getting copied to multiple devices across multiple availability zones, which are again physically separate from each other. There will be some latency in having a consistent data across your availability zones, right? So in the first case or in the first case, that read after write, as as long as your data is written across all the different devices in different AZs, this object is going to be available only once the write is completed across the AZ, right? And this is the default consistency model. This we cannot change it from console. We have to go and do it from API or CLI. And the eventual consistency, you can obviously go for eventual consistency, but there obviously there will be mismatch in data at two different locations, and this may impact the end user who is connecting to your device, because that particular user may connect to a particular AZ where your data is still not updated. So based on the use case, we have to select one particular consistency model. So if you talk about the classes, now there are different classes of classes in S3. So by default, whenever we upload any data, any object, any file in S3, it comes in under the category or the class of standard. This is the default tier or class, right? And if you need this data very frequently every day and all, you have to go and select this. There is another option of S3 intelligent tiering. If you go and select this option based on the data, based on the frequency of your data getting accessed, this S3 intelligent tiering is going to move this data across your standard infrequent access or other storage options on its own, right? Infrequent access, if you don't need need your object on regular basis, you can go for it, but there is some retrieval charge. Okay, so you can see that cost below. So for standard, it is going to be 2 cents per GB per month, and obviously for your infrequent S3IA, which means infrequently accessed data, the cost is going to be 1.25 cents per GB per month. One zone IA, in this particular case, your data is not going to be copied across all the availability zone. It is going to be there only in one availability zone. But in that particular AZ, your data is going to be copied across 3 to 4 different physical devices minimum. Other storage tier in S3 is, so if you have some data which you don't need on say weekly basis or monthly basis, that data might be there to for some kind of audit purpose. You can keep those data in Glacier, because there are certain there are certain compliance requirements for which the data needs to be there for at least 1 month, or at times in advance a particular data needs to be there for at least 7 years, right? And that data is only needed for going ahead with your compliance certifications. So if you keep such data in Glacier, or there is one more option of deep archive, you are going to save a lot on your budget. You can see the cost, right? It is very less. The difference is going to be between this Glacier and deep archive Glacier. You can see the difference is going to be the time it is going to take to retrieve the data. Right? In case of Glacier, obviously it is going to be slightly faster. In case of deep archive, it is slightly going to be different, and based on that, cost is going to vary. So even if you are thinking of storing some of your organization institute data in S3, you can obviously go and do that. But you have to think whether you are going to need this data on daily basis, or you will be needing this data on say quarterly basis, or say yearly basis. If you are needing some of your institute data on say monthly, or say 15 in say 2 weeks once in 2 weeks, then you can obviously should be going for Glacier, right? So you don't need to stay in standard, because again it is going to be costly. So you have to understand what is the use case, what is the purpose, why you are storing your data, whether you are going to need it on regular basis. Now take the examples of the photo that normally we capture through our mobiles and all. Right? If you want to take a backup of such data on S3, then Glacier would be better option. Right? So this is one comparison between these 6 different tier. I think this PPT will be shared with you. So versioning, again, it helps you in maintaining record of your different upload. So how this versioning works? The moment you go and upload a file, that object file is stored as version 1. You go and upload the same file again. The second upload is going to be the second version. Versioning is maintained in S3. And for every version, Amazon maintains a recycle bin. So if you delete one particular object file from your bucket, that object file is not going to be deleted permanently. A delete marker will be placed. It is going to be tagged with delete marker, and it is going to be there in your recycle bin. How long it should be there and all, you can obviously decide. It's very much similar to the way the recycle bin works on Windows operating system. Okay. Object tagging, this is just an example of how you can tag your object. Okay. Along with ACL, we have also IAM policy. Previously, only bucket policies and access ACLs were there to control the access, but now we have IAM policies as well this last 2 years, which we can use to control the access. And IAM obviously gives much better control as compared to bucket is generic at very generic level. And again, ACLs are also, too coarse. I mean, it's too open. This is one example of, a particular policy that you can attach on a particular object. And this policy access is going to be based on tag. Right. So this is a JSON document in simple word. And again, it is a different field to get into and understand how these policies can be written. In organizations, there is a specific designation with IAM, architect and IAM engineers who are basically involved in, maintaining these policies and creating users, maintaining identity providers and all. So it is obviously going to take some, time to get used to with this JSON document. Another example. Okay, this we will see. Encryption we can do. I mean, in transit means there is a particular service in Amazon with the name ACM. You can use ACM to create SSL certificate, and that SSL certificate you can easily attach it to your S3 object endpoint. Right? Amazon doesn't charge you for anything for using, for creating SSL certificate. If you are using that SSL certificate only for only for the services that you are consuming within Amazon, you cannot use this SSL certificate outside of AWS. And the data, whatever we are storing on S3, that we can obviously go and use some encryption. So there is one particular kind of encryption which is known as S3 managed keys or SSES3. There is one more, better than SSES3. There is KMS, which is nothing but key management service. Key management service doesn't come under free tier, so if you are trying to use KMS, then you should be aware that it's going to cost you some money. But SSES3, this Amazon doesn't charge us anything for this. And server-side encryption with customer provided key, this also you can use. You can use some custom key to encrypt your data. It is not that you should be using only Amazon KMS for encrypting your data. Client-side encryption. So you can obviously encrypt whatever the data that you are having on your local machine. And this data, if you want to upload to S3, you can use some some third-party encryption tool to encrypt your data locally on your machine, and this data then you can upload. That is also going to work. Okay. Inventory and all, you can just maintain the record and get some insight on all the objects that you are managing through S3. Most important, charges. Now, what about the charges? The charges are obviously number one is going to be the storage. As I told you, there is no such limit. But again, whatever you are consuming is going to be based on your budget, number one. Number 2, 5 GB is the limit within free tier. Number 2 is request. That means request could be, if I am trying to read some information from a particular website, then a get request is generated, right? These are HTTP methods. So get request is going to be generated. So there are, again, cost on those as well. So for get request, 20,000 requests per month is fine. Amazon doesn't charge us for, this 20,000, 20K of get request. But apart from that, they start charging some cent. Number 2 is the put request. Right? Put method is generated whenever you try to create any new object, upload a new object, or change an existing object. And within free tier, we have this only 2K, 2000 get this put, update, delete method we can execute. After 2000 put request, it becomes chargeable. Right. Number 3 is if you are transferring some data from, the scope of your bucket is going to be within a region, right? If you are uploading your, uploading your object or static file in, say, a particular bucket in Mumbai region, it's going to be staying there, right? But if you want to move this data to some other region, it becomes chargeable. Right? Again, you will be charged for maintaining, metadata and tags. Limit is only 10. Beyond that, we have to pay. And there is a concept of transfer acceleration or in short, TA. So with TA, what we do, if we have huge amount of data, then we can use this option to upload the data relatively faster. Right? And for that, we need to understand here that we have understood, right, what is the reason and what are availability zones, how the data center are, present in a particular availability zone. And along with that, on day 1, we have talked about content distribution network. In Amazon, the same service is available with the name CloudFront. Why CloudFront is there? CloudFront is there to improve the application performance. So if your site is, your application is deployed in, say in America, and you are accessing that site from India, then if CloudFront configuration is there, then the site upload speed will be relatively faster, because the CloudFront, which is there in Mumbai, is going to serve you the content which is deployed somewhere in America or some other remote country. Right? So transfer acceleration helps you to upload these data in S3 bucket relatively faster as compared to your public internet. How is it possible? See, the entire Amazon region, they are connected on a particular network. Right? There is a particular network. I'm talking about physical network. And within this physical network, the speed is really high. It is secure and speed is really high. So if you are using TA, then your request will go to your request from your local ISP. The moment it reaches the nearest, CloudFront location, for example, in our case, it will be Mumbai. Then from Mumbai, your data is going to be transferred on Amazon backbone, on Amazon network, and all are connected. So there, the speed is really high. You don't need to traverse across the public internet, which is again going to be very, it's obviously insecure, not very secure. Right? Let's go and do our project, and during that time also I will discuss a couple of points. Okay? So you can log in as your root account, and then so S3 comes under your storage category. Okay. So we have seen compute yesterday. You can scroll down, or you can just directly search from this, search option. S3. Okay. So what we are going to do? We are in this particular demonstration. We are going to create a bucket, and in that particular bucket, we will go
Hello?
and yeah.
Sir, please share the screen again.
Okay. Somebody else is taking control, no problem. Okay. So you all can parallelly do this, hands-on. And if you stuck up somewhere, we will again have some 10-15 minutes of time after 11:45 to, discuss any kind of issue that you all are facing. We can obviously discuss. Okay, I think it is now visible. So let's continue. So we'll go and create a bucket. So I just give it a name. So you can give any, suppose you want to host any website, static website on S3, there you can go and use the domain name, whatever the domain name that you have bought. And this domain name, thing I will show you. I think on day 5 we have a particular demo where we will understand how we can configure the DNS service, which is known as Route 53 in Amazon. But today we'll try to access our object. We'll try to access our object directly through object URL. There is a concept of object URL. Every object gets a distinct URL. Using that, we will try to access our file. Okay. So you can give it a name, any name. Demo, I will just give it today's date 20/05/06. Hopefully this will be. And then you can just create the bucket directly here. Click on this create and just go ahead. You can continue with the default region, or if you want, you can go and change the region, right? Region in which you want to keep your bucket. Since I am working in North Virginia, I'll use this option. Now, like IAM, S3 is also a global service, correct? But unlike in IAM, where we don't know where the user information or group information or any kind of related information in IAM are stored, in S3 we can go and decide in which region I want to keep my data. Okay, though it is again a global service, right? And you can just click on next, go to the next page. So this bucket name already exists, so I have to go and change it. Demo dot maybe again. Not sure it is available. Next. Okay, so somebody has already taken it. So the other option, in the second page, we get this information option of setting the version. So we can skip this one. It's not very mandatory. Tagging also you can skip. It's not. These are optional. Right? You can go and add more tags. Just scroll down and see. If you want to have object level logging, you can go and do that. Like any kind of encryption you want, if you want to do, you can do it here, or you can do it later as well. So object log, if you want to have some log. See, if you go ahead with the object log, you won't be able to. Nobody will be able to delete your object. It is there for the additional security of data that we are storing in S3. Okay. And CloudWatch request matrices, we can go and we have to configure some matrices here. By default in S3, we get only 2 CloudWatch matrices, and those are not sufficient. So for additional information, like how many users are hitting your static website, you have to go and configure add additional metrics to your CloudWatch dashboard, but that becomes chargeable. So these things we have to keep in mind. Number 2, you have to go and select this bucket public access. Now this feature has become very essential nowadays, because in the recent past, I mean, even in last 3 to 4 years, there has been a lot of cases reported by different security agencies with respect to S3, access. So what happens? Before this particular option was there, people used to, I mean, the organizations, they used to forget to assign, any kind of restriction on the data, right? So if you are using any app, that in that particular app, through that particular app, if the organization is maintaining user data, that user data can be kept in S3, right? And if that particular S3 bucket is in public domain, then everybody will have access to it. And that recent, if you follow the news properly, a couple of days back, there was again some issue, right, with one of our app that we very widely use for day-to-day transactions. And after this one security agency, they from Israel, they reported that particular loophole was set. So if you are going ahead with this option, if you don't do anything, then by default, all your data is going to be inaccessible. All your object file will be blocked. Nobody will be able to access it. The way we saw yesterday, when we create a user without any permission, that user literally cannot do anything. Right? Similarly here, Amazon they have added this default feature where you can by default block all access to your object, which is there in S3 bucket. And then later on, you go and start adding policies, and based on your requirement, you start making, start opening it. But for our purpose, we will just remove this, public access, because I want to, we want to demonstrate that how the application can be, how the object that I am storing on S3 can be accessible or can be accessed through bucket from the browser. Sorry. So you need to acknowledge here. I acknowledge that the current settings may result in this bucket and the object within this becoming. I want to make it public because I want everybody to access. Right. So you can select this option and then manage system permission. Do not grant S3 log delivery. This we can skip. This is not very. What it means, I mean, whatever the action that is happening on your S3 bucket, those actions you can log in a separate bucket. That is what it is, saying. And whatever the log that we are creating in a separate bucket, there we can again exercise some kind of permission. Who can see those log and all. We can skip this one and then go to next. Okay. So the last one is the review page. You can go and edit any information if you think it is not required, and then just click on create. So now this our bucket is coming up. It is going to be created, and we will just go in. So where is my bucket? Okay, this is my bucket, right? So once your bucket is created, just click on it, and on this particular screen, we will go and upload our content, right? Whatever the content that I have shared. If you don't have that, you can go and just upload one particular image file. That is also fine. Okay. You can go and upload your image file, and then you can access it from the browser. So I will upload that same file that I shared with the participant. I'll click on upload, and then you can drag and drop all those files here. So let me go back to my. So this is what I want to put there. Okay. So I will select all, and then just drag it to my S3 bucket. Okay. Right. And you can just say upload. Okay. No need to go ahead with other settings. Just click on upload. I'll tell you how to change the access so that this bucket is going to be available to all. Okay. So these are some of the files that I have uploaded. So in your organization also, if you have some kind of this small project, obviously you can do within your organization. And in this, I have this index file using through which this entire application is going to be accessible. So, but before going ahead, I have to set some permissions. So this permission is fine. This is the first level of access using which I am opening my bucket. But along with that, I need to go and attach one bucket policy as well. Okay. So I will go and attach one bucket policy. And this policy, I think also I have shared. You can go and copy that policy and just. I think it is somewhere else. Just yep. So this is the policy. I think I have already shared this with you all. So just before copying, just change the name of your. This is the default bucket name, but right now my bucket name is demo dot. So this is a policy which is going to provide everyone the access to my files. Okay. How they are going to access it through the browser. Just need to copy it. If something is wrong, and suppose here, just ensure that there is no extra space at the beginning. Right? Even if there is one extra space, you are going to get an error. So ensure you are there at the beginning of this edit window. Okay. Just paste it here and click on save. If there is some issue, it is going to give us an error. If no, then you will get a public kind of message here. So now this bucket is there in the public domain. Okay. So come back to the bucket overview, and then let us see if we can access this. So once you click this object, this is the landing page index.html file, and for every object you will be having an object URL. So you can click on this and then open it. Right. So now whatever you want to keep in your bucket, that you can obviously go and keep. It could be some simple blog. It could be any kind of such picture and all. If you want to share with some specific set of people, you can go and upload it here. And if you're good at writing simple HTML files, then it is going to be available in the way you want to demonstrate it, right? But this is the most basic part that we have to do first of all correctly, and then you can go and add additional, restrictions and those kind of things. If you want to download it, you can go and click on this download button and then download it again. And now, obviously, you have to do it in case you are accessing somebody else's data from Amazon console. Okay. So you can see here, by default, whatever the object, whatever the file Somebody can confirm me if I'm audible again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so I was discussing about S3. Now in S3, we have to start with standard. That's the default, or you can just start using Glacier directly.
Sir, screen is not visible.
Yeah, I am doing it. I am doing it. I think it's now visible.
Yes, sir, visible. Visible, sir.
So I was saying that once you upload your file, or file which is known as object in S3, depending upon how long you will be needing your data in a particular tier, you can decide and start using lifecycle. And in this, you can even expire the object after certain duration of time. So obviously, there is some fixed amount of time you have to stay in a particular class, and after that, your object will move to some other class automatically. Okay, so I'll just show you. We'll not continue much here, but at least we should be having an understanding that this is possible. That if you want to save on money, save on the billing, and you think your data is not very frequently used on day-to-day basis, you can move your data to some other option. Okay, so you can click on Add Lifecycle Policy, give it a name. My Lifecycle Policy, Rule 1, whatever you want to give. So there is a see, prefix. We can limit the scope to prefix. Prefix means if you go and create. Now, right now I am keeping everything in the root, the main bucket. But ideally, I should be creating, a separate directory for image, separate directory for CSS, separate directory for my JavaScript, file. And this is structure I have to maintain. Right? Normally, we have to do it, but just for the demo purpose, I'm not doing it to keep things simple. And in that particular, bucket, the subfolders that I am creating, those subfolders are known as prefix in S3. Just need to remember this. To choose a rule scope, I can go and apply it to all the object, or I can just say that, okay, only one particular object I want to set the permission on. That also you can go and add a filter. Okay. For the demo, I will just go ahead with this one. Transition, I want this transition to happen only with the current version, or I want to include the previous version object as well. This we have to select. And the most important part here, you have to add this transition. Suppose I want to implement this transition on the current version. I have to just click on add transition and start adding this transition. So right now my object is in standard. So from standard, I can move it to infrequent access or some other options, whichever is available here. Okay. So suppose if I go and say move this object from standard to IA, then by default it has to be there in standard for 30 days. And from after 30 days, it is going to move to standard tier automatically. Right? Similarly, you can add multiple transitions. From now, once your object in IA, standard IA, from there, where you want to move it, you can select further option. This is one problem with this particular window. Locating the other option becomes somewhat challenging. This I always struggle. Amazon is going to do something about this. So you can go and select some other option. Option like Glacier, Deep Archive, those options we can obviously go and select. So in this way, we can go and continue with the lifecycle policy. Click on next; it will take you to the review page, and after that, you can add expiration. Expiration for the current version because I had selected this current version, and then how many days? After how many days you want to delete your object? Right? That you can obviously set. And then you can say next. The lifecycle policy is going to apply. It is giving me a warning. Why? Because I have applied this lifecycle policy to all the objects, which normally we don't do. Because every object has its own, requirement, whether it should be there in standard, or it should be moved to IA or Glacier and then archived. Based on based on your object, you have to decide which should be coming under a particular lifecycle policy. So you can save it and then it becomes applicable. Okay. So in this way, you can go and create a couple of rules. Right? Obviously, there is a limit, but that you can obviously find through the documentation. So this is very important. Class, lifecycle policy, versioning, and obviously the security, the restriction that we attach to these objects. Okay. So this is all I think we can discuss on S3 right now. We can go back to. We'll touch upon S3 again. Whatever we are doing, we will do it again for our demo of S3. There we will see how we can link our. See, this is the S3 endpoint for my object. The same endpoint, how I can access it through a particular domain name. Like if you can see, I mean, this is one particular blog set that I am going to use. Right? So here I am keeping everything in S3 bucket. Right. So this I have created just to start blogging on some of the topics that I feel is very important in Amazon. So this entire thing is there in S3, but you can see here I am accessing this through a domain name rather than a entire S3 object endpoint. Right? This is also known as object endpoint URL, different words. But how to map it to a particular domain, that we will see once we complete Route 53. And for that demo, you will be needing a domain. So if you don't want to pay for domain, or suppose if you are doing it for your organization, then obviously you can do it. You should know how to do it. But in Freenom, if you just want to do it as a part of the demo, you can go to freenom.org and you can buy a domain without paying anything. And that domain is going to be there with you for at least maximum 3 months. You can maintain that domain name without paying anything. Okay. Just confirm I am still online or it's got disconnected. Gitika ma'am, am I online?
Yes, sir, you are online.
Okay, great. Fine. So this we will see. I mean, once we discuss Route 53, which is the DNS service from Amazon, there we will understand how to do this configuration. Fine. So with this, I will conclude with S3 and PPTs and all are shared. Will be shared after this session. Lab demos and all should be already there with you all. Yeah. This is one of the important service and quite widely used for storing any kind of logs or any kind of audit related information. So, and obviously for in the storage category, this is one of the I would say most least expensive or the cheapest one available from Amazon. Okay. So this was about S3. We will now jump to virtual machines. Okay. So whatever I use, whatever the things I have used for the demonstration right now, these all will be there with you. You can go and just follow the steps and use the policies to go ahead and complete your setup quite easily. Coming to virtual machines. Again, virtual machines come back to EC2. Okay. See, in virtual machines, we will be first of all creating a simple virtual machine, and then we will add load balancer and auto scaling. So within EC2, again, it's a big topic. So, but the most important thing here, we should understand how to create a virtual machine, how to deploy an application there. Okay, how to do it, how to go and connect to your virtual machine, and then do the changes. Okay. So let's get going and create a virtual machine. Again, virtual machines is the backbone of Amazon. Backbone in terms of service. A lot of services are, behind the scene, they are utilizing EC2 for, for many purposes, like your Lambda function, their Lambda service, which is again running on EC2. Your RDS is again a type of instance, database instances. So one of the widely used, and we should understand. For project purpose also, if your team is, creating any application supported on Amazon, not, see, doesn't matter whether it is supported. I mean, there's no such restriction on the language that you can, a particular platform you can go and use on EC2. That restriction is there only for Beanstalk. But apart from that, if you want to go and deploy a Java application, go and create an EC2 instance and do that. Create the environment and deploy your application. Okay, so it doesn't matter what platform or programming language your team is using or an organization wants to use, they can simply go and create a virtual machine. It's a blank virtual machine. And then on top of that, you can deploy everything, whatever you want. Okay. So let's go and create a virtual machine. To connect to this virtual machine, so for virtual machine, we will be needing, see, this virtual machine is going to be created in some region. Now, this EC2 is a regional service. You can see here, I am there in North Virginia, right? Somewhere in US. I want to create it in this particular location, this particular region. In one of the availability zone, I'm going to do that. Okay. So, just a minute. Yeah. I just need to keep on checking whether I'm live or not. So click on launch instance. Remember, there are more than, somewhere around 200 different types of instance available, right? But for us as a learner or somebody who just want to stick within that free tier, only T2 micro instance we can use. Okay. So before launching this, what I will do, I will create a key pair. Why? Because you're using the key pair, we will go and connect with our EC2 instance. Right. So I will just cancel this one. And this we can obviously do at the end, but what we can do at the end is going to restrict us for creating a key pair with .pem extension, .pem extension. But for the ease of use, we are going to use PuTTY. Right? It is again documented in Amazon that if you don't have any SSH clients on your Windows machine, you should go and use PuTTY. So that PuTTY.exe is also shared with the participants. You can use that particular tool to connect to EC2 instance. Or if you have on Windows 10 professional machine, there is a batch environment. You can go and use that batch environment. If you are using Linux-based machine, Linux-based operating system, terminal is good enough. Right? You can execute that connection request directly from your terminal. Right? But if you are using Windows machine and Bash is not enabled, then that PuTTY is the easiest way to do that. Easiest way to connect to your EC2 instance. And for the demonstration purpose, we will be using Linux machines. And for connecting to Linux machines remotely, we need to do SSH. We cannot. I am not using Windows-based, server for this demonstration because I have to go ahead and demonstrate on, auto scaling and load balancer as well. And these two, different services for going ahead with the demonstration of these two services, I will be needing more than one instance. What is the problem? Problem is if you go and create a Window-based virtual machine, you cannot go and create a second virtual machine or instance. Why? Because in EC2, the block storage that we get within the free tier is only of 30 GB. And for each and every Window-based server operating system, this entire 30 GB will be consumed. So we will not be, we are not going to be left with any kind of additional storage. But if we go and use Linux, and in that case, we can easily go and create at least 3 virtual machines, 3 instances. And these instances, obviously, once our demo is over, we have to go and get rid of them. If not, we have to go and stop them so that you don't have to pay anything as part of your billing cycle. So if you are using any Linux-based operating system for your demos, you have to download PEM file, or otherwise you have to download a PPK file. Right? PPK file is needed by your putty.exe file, putty tool. Okay. So first of all, I will go and do this. Right? So within networking, network and security, click on key pairs. Click on create key pair. Right? And you can see here for putty, you have to download PPK. If you want to use any other SSH client terminal to connect to your virtual machine, you have to create a PEM file. Okay. So since this demo is going to be using putty, I will go and select this option. Right, give it a name. Right, I'm giving it a name like. And remember, this particular key is the scope of the key that we are creating here is going to be within this particular region. I cannot go and use this same key pair file for an instance which is created in some other region. So there I have to go back and create one more, a separate particular key pair. So key pair, the scope is within a region. Give it a name. I just give it a name like this, give an NV, right? And just click on key pair. Your key pair is created. It is and you have to download it. It is not going to be available to you later on. Okay. Just click on OK and then save this file locally. So this is the one which is created. Come back and start creating your virtual machine. Launch. Now Amazon provides us with certain images by default. Okay, the way Amazon gives us, a lot of more than 500 policies to start, using them for our understanding or learning. Similarly, Amazon gives us a lot of AMIs, right? In the quick start window, you will see the here. Right? To be on a safer side, select this option free tier only. If you go and create your own AMI, those AMI will be visible here. If you have some money and if you want some specific type of AMI, suppose if you want that the virtual machine that you are creating should be having trend micro installed, you can go and do that. But again, you have to pay for something, pay some amount, right? 1 cent per host per hour. Right? The other way of doing this same thing is trend micro and install this particular security. But if you don't want to do that, you can obviously go and use this. Similarly, there are different options related to your networking devices. Right? You can go and use. There are huge. I mean, the list is amazing. But here, mostly you will end up paying some amount based on an hourly basis. But again, based on your requirement, you can search for your category and then just select that option. But still, if you want to be, you don't want to pay anything, you can come to a community AMI. We know the concept of community. You can also add some AMI to this particular community and make it available to the entire world. Okay. So, North Virginia, you can see there are more than 123 lakhs AMI, and these are not chargeable. Right? Amazon on its own side, they try to verify that these are good, but again, Amazon say that it is also your responsibility to verify this AMI before using it for your production purpose. Normally, we don't do that. This is just for the purpose of learning and all. You go and select a particular AMI from the community. What is the AMI? Amazon Machine Images. That's it. And when you select a community AMI, you can again go ahead with certain filter. You can go and select that, okay, I want only Debian related AMI. Select this option and only Debian related AMI will be available. So based on your plan, you can go and select. And again, you can filter it based on the architecture as well. Right? So a lot of flexibility in terms of creating a particular AMI. Fine. We'll come back to quick start and continue our journey. Right? So in this, I will go ahead with Amazon. So Amazon, they have also their own version of Linux. For the demonstration purpose, we will be using those AMI which are free tier eligible. Okay, so that's the reason for this. Accidentally not falling into a particular AMI which is going to be chargeable, I am selecting this option. So within free tier, we have these 18. Right? Click on select. Step number 2, most important. Here, if you want to stick within the free tier, you have to select only T2 micro. But again, if you are going ahead and deploying something related to your organization, there you have to figure out what kind of configuration or what kind of instance type is going to be useful to you. And the moment you select options, ideally this should have been a radio button, because at a time only one selection is possible. Okay. So once you select this option, at the top you will get what is the configuration that you will be getting. Okay. One virtual CPU, this much of speed, and going to be from Xenon family, this much of RAM, and storage is going to be EBS, block storage. So in case of virtual machines, there are again 2 categories of storage that you can attach to your virtual machine. Right? On your laptops also, we have this storage which is SSD. If you remove that storage, your machine is not going to boot. It is going to stop. Right? So some kind of storage your virtual machine is going to need. Right? To install these, to keep your AMI and whatever the things that you are going to install on top of that. For those, obviously need some storage. Right? So we go for EBS, Elastic Block Store. The other type of storage that we can attach is known as instance store. And instance store, again, the cost is less, but normally we use instance store only for the testing purpose, because if you are using an instance store and if you reboot your virtual machine, whatever you are keeping there in your instance storage, that will be lost. Right? We cannot persist data in your instance store. But if you are using EBS, your data is going to be with you. It doesn't matter if you just stop it and start it after 2 years, the data is going to be there with you. So we will continue with the selection. So if you need, again, there are different categories of this instance based on your application. Your application is a gaming, you have to go and select different types of instance. Right? The bandwidth is going to increase, and you will get different counts of virtual CPUs. Okay, and the bandwidth is obviously going to keep on increasing as you move down. Okay, they are compute optimized. If you are handling some kind of if you're doing some kind of HPC, right, high performance computing, you have to go and select it from compute optimized, or maybe from other categories. Handling gaming kind of applications. As you can see here, 768. What is this 768? The memory that we are going to get. Amazon has a separate set of instance for SAP workload, and there we get. Okay. So depending upon the workload, there are or not all are available in this dropdown. So for you using some other type of instance which is not here, you have to read the documentation and create those instances from CLI. We'll go to step number 3. Here again, the second most important page. Here you can specify how many instances you want to be created the moment you complete this step. So to stay within the free tier, just select one. So one instance you can run for 750 hours for the entire month, 12 months, you won't be chargeable. Amazon is not going to charge you anything. But if you are running more than one instance, then you have to take control of the compute charges, right? So if you run 2 instances, then your 750 hours will get exhausted by mid of the month. Then again, you have to wait for 15 days. And after 15 days, at midnight, 750 hours will be made available again. Okay. So for the current demo, we can go ahead and just use one. There are a lot of options. We will not get into all of them. These virtual machines are all they are created within a network or VPC, what we say in Amazon, right? What we say in cloud. Right? So Amazon gives us a default VPC. You can also create your own VPC, but right now we will continue with the default one. Fine. I can go and select a particular subnet. Subnets are created within an availability zone. So by default, what Amazon does, they go and create one VPC, and within this VPC, what they do, they create one subnet in each of the availability zone. This does not mean that you can only create one subnet within availability zone. You can create a number of them. There is a limit, obviously. You can go and create those many number of, and that is controlled by some. There is a concept of CIDR, right? Classless interdomain routing, if you understand. We'll discuss it tomorrow. Okay. So you can select a subnet, or you can just skip this one, and Amazon is going to provide you. They will create your.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Arvind, sir. So please share your screen again.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, I think it is now visible. Yeah. So you can go and create a subnet. Yeah, and in a particular subnet, we can decide how many virtual machines can be created. So in the default one, we can go and create these many number of virtual machines. Why? Because all of these virtual machines will be needing some address, IP address. So when we are creating our own VPC, we can decide how many subnets my VPC we should be having, and within that subnet, how many virtual machines should be present. And that count it is going to specify here. We can control. If you want that in my virtual machine, I should be getting only 200. I should be having only 200 virtual machines. You can go and do that. So you can go. Once you create your own network, you will be total control over it. Okay. First, public IP address, I will say yes, because I want this virtual machine to be accessible from outside, from the browser, from the public domain. If I go and select this option disable, then this virtual machine will not be having any public IP address or a public DNS name. And in that case, it becomes literally impossible to, it's not possible to connect to a particular machine who is not having a public IP address from outside. Even you forget about accessing your machine from the browser, you will not be able to do SSH to your machine, right? For doing SSH to your virtual machines, for your instance, you definitely need a public IP address. So we will continue with this default setting. So this setting is there at the subnet level. If you want to skip that subnet level setting, you can go and go ahead and select this option as well. Fine. Placement group are there just to improve the performance capacity reservation. You can, if you know that I will be needing 10 virtual machines for the entire year, you can go for capacity reservation. Obviously, you save a lot of money there. Okay, we will just skip everything and just go to the end. Yeah, here I'm going to attach one file. Like, because I don't want to, spend time on connecting to the machine, updating that AMI, installing Apache, and then installing my PHP file. Those things I don't want to do. So what I can do, I can just, refer to the code which is there on my local machine, and then go ahead. Okay. So for that, what I will do, I will select one. Okay. You can select the file that I have shared with you, or you can just go ahead with your own script file. So here what I will do, I will use this. I'll show you what's there. I am selecting that file. Okay. What is that file about? Let's see. Okay, so I was referring to this. This is where is that type? Okay. So what is going to happen? These scripts are going to run. Okay. Which is going to update my current AMI and whatever the software or tools which are installed on this, AMI, those all will get updated. And after that, I will install Apache and PHP. Okay. there is one check config flag in Apache that I will keep it on, because if I go ahead and stop my virtual machine and then restart it again, this Apache service should also start automatically. For that, I need to keep this flag on. And then after that, what I will do, I will start this service. And then I will go and run this echo command. This echo command is going to run this PHP info method and dump all the data in this index.php file. Right? This entire thing I can do by connecting to my virtual machine and then running these commands. That I can obviously do, but that we will not be doing because we have to save some time. I will just show you by how to connect to this instance and then go and verify whether this index file index.php is actually present in this directory or not. That I will definitely show you. Okay. So this file is now attached to my this particular instance. I will add now storage. So you can see here, this is the minimum number of minimum GB storage that this AMI needs, right? And at the bottom, it is giving us free tier eligibility 30 GB. That's all for magnetic and SSD storage. Okay. So we can start with these three. Last and first, not chargeable, provision IOPS to improve, your input-output operation. You have to select this one, but this is chargeable. Demo we don't need. Just go ahead with general purpose SSD. And if you go and decrease this, from 8 to somewhere like 6 or 7, it is going to shout at the end of, the last step review. It will say that minimum 8 GB is required for the AMI that you have selected. Delete on termination. It is basically there to avoid any kind of accidental deletion of your EC2 instance. You will see the impact of this setting. Add a tag. You can just say, give it some name, right? Demo instance. You can add up to 50 tags here. Okay. It is very important for categorization and searching for which project, how many instances are running, and what are the costs associated with the set of particular project. Those kind of information, if we have to find out, tagging is the best option. With the help of from the tag dashboard, we can go and search for the tags. I'll show you how to do that. Again, this is going to be very important, because if you have done everything, but in the security group, if ports are not open, right, you won't be able to access your virtual machine. Right? Virtual machine is created by default, but by default, the ports are not open, accessible. We have to open it, and then only we will be able to go and access it. So for the demo, what I will do, I will not create any kind of, I will not open any port and do it later on. Okay, just to show you the impact. So I'll just give it a name. Right. You can give it any meaningful name. So I'm going to open SPT and SSH. I will add the rule later on, right? The way I did for IAM, because we should verify. We should understand what's the impact. Okay. Now we are at the launch, review page. Click on launch and select the key pair that we created initially. So this is the key pair that I created. I'm selecting this one. I have to say acknowledge, and then only this launch button becomes visible. Okay, enabled. Fine. So just click on this launch, and your instance is now in the process of creation. It is again going to take anywhere between 2 to 3 minutes of time to create this instance. Okay. So meanwhile, it is getting created. What we will do, we will see how we will see how to use this putty.exe, because ultimately we have to connect with this instance. Right. So you can see here, whatever the name I have specified, it is visible from here, and apart from that, any additional tag I can go and check it from here. Okay. Whatever the column that you want to view, you can go and customize it from this particular window, height show column. Okay. Whatever you want, you can just, it is not that, this is the default one and we cannot go and change. Any relevant information that you want to be visible on your EC2 dashboard, you can go and do that. Okay. It is obviously going to be associated with your CloudWatch, so you will get some good matrices with respect to the EC2 instance that we have created right now. It gives us good amount of insight. Apart from that, if you need some additional, you have to go to CloudWatch, create a dashboard, and attach your relevant matrices there. I will show you this again. It is there planned for tomorrow or day after tomorrow. It is going to take some time. Instance is in running state, but it is still initializing. So we have to wait for its initialization. And in the description tab, you will get all the information related to your EC2 instance. The instance ID, which is unique, state, type. Important one is your private IP address, right? Private DNS name and public IP and public DNS name. Okay. And in which availability zone this is getting created. Security group that I have selected. So you can see here, I have not selected any inbound rule here. Okay. Then we will go ahead and add the required. So this is the way normally we do. That whatever is required, we add. If you know that this port is going to be enabled, this port should be enabled, we go and enable it at the beginning. If not, we can go and do that later on. So let this instance be created. I will go and launch putty.exe. Okay. So this was also shared. You just click on putty.exe and this window will pop up. Okay. So what is going to be the host name? To get a host name, what we can do is, so people who are using Windows, they have to go and use putty. Like if you are using Git and Git bash, if it is there on your local machine, you can go and use that as well. And somebody who is using Linux machine, for them, you can just click on this connect button, right? Okay, and continue with this default option, standalone SSH client, and copy this command. Right? You should be able to connect to your instance. So if any one of you who are running a Linux-based operating system, just copy this command. Come to your SSH client. Okay, I will show you. I'm having bash on my local machine. Git bash normally use for versioning control. So how you can connect it using a terminal or any SSH client? You have to first of all, come to that particular directory where your PPK file is present. Okay, but PPK is only for your window for this putty, so that PPK I cannot obviously use here. Okay, so I have to go ahead and show you the demonstration for. But for others who are using Linux machine, they should be having a PEM file, and then you have to first of all go to that particular directory where your that PEM file is present, right? And then paste your command here. Okay. So what it means, SSH, what is the key ID, and this is the user name. Username is always going to be in this format: ec2-user @ public DNS name or the public IP address. Both are going to work. Right? So this command you have to run in case you are using SSH client or terminal. But in case if you have only PPK, then what you will need? You will need this much. Only user information, right? User ID of the host. So before going ahead, we have to verify whether the instance is okay. Now it is ready for access. Okay. So what I will do, I will try to access this. So what is going to be the host name? Host name is going to be whatever I have copied. ec2-user @ public DNS name will ask me where is this public DNS name? This is the public DNS name. You just need to copy here. Okay. Or instead of public DNS name, you can use the public IP address as well. Okay. Now scroll down, click on this SSH, and in this SSH you just click on auth. Continue with the default setting. And here you have to browse to your PPK file. I need to check where my PPK file is present. Okay. It should be there in my download. Okay, it is there in my download folder. So I will straight away go to my download folder and select my PPK. So you can see here the filter is added automatically. I just need to use, yeah, it should be click on open. That file path is selected here. No need to go and select any other, change any other option. Just click on open. Right? And it is going to fail. Why? Because I haven't opened port 22 for SSH. So it will not allow me any connection. It will try for some time and then throw me an error, timeout error. Okay. So what we will do, we will go and open this port for SSH access. Okay. Network error, connection timeout. This is the error you are going to get if in your security group you have not opened port 22. So we will go and open that port. Okay. How to do that? Come to security. Just click on this. Come to this will bring us to the security dashboard, right? You can go to the here as well. Okay, you can see this is highlighted now, and this is the security group that we are dealing with, right? So what we need to do, we need to add inbound rules. So I'm clicking on this, and then below I can add inbound rule. Okay, how to do that? Click on edit, and then say add rule. I want to SSH to this instance, so I will just search for this option. Okay, done. So the port is going to be automatically selected. The protocol is also going to be automatically selected. And then I can select, I have to select source, who all can connect to my virtual machine using SSH, using this SSH protocol. Okay. So ideally what we should do, we should select my IP. But in case you are, if you want to use this, that means you must be using a static IP for your local, broadband connection. If not, then this IP is going to change the moment your router reboots. Right? So to avoid any, further delay, what I will do, I will go and say anywhere. So we will get these two options. The first says that any request from, from any request from IPv4 address space is going to be addressed. It is going to be allowed. And similarly for any IPv6 addressing, it is going to be allowed to connect to my instance. So with this, I will say save this rule. If there is any issue, you will get it. Otherwise, you will just get green confirmation that everything went fine and then your port is now open for SSH. I'll go back and then restart session. I'll click on the restart session. Okay. So if everything is fine, you will get the security warning. And then you will just say yes. I'll just increase the font so that there is no issue with. Okay. Just make it 16 so that it becomes. Okay. So this is the kind of confirmation that you are going to get. This shows that you are connected using this particular key pair and the AMI that you are using. And once you connect to our network, see, to connect to our instance, what we are using the public DNS name or the public IP address. But once you connect to your network, once you connect to your VPC, then your instance private IP address will be shown here. So our private IP address is 172.31.34.173. Right? On the dashboard also you can see the same. Okay. So now we are able to connect to this instance. What we will do, we will just verify whether that index.php. Now that index.php is not going to work because my this command is not going to work. Whatever I tried to run, because the port was not open. SSH and HTTP. So what I need to do, I have to run those commands again here. Okay. What you can do when you do the setup, you can go and open this port SSH and HTTP, and then once your instance comes up, it will be created with all these files. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this command manually. since it is a easy to user, I have to just run this command one by one. I'll copy this one and then go ahead. Okay. So let's say sudo. So these are all Linux commands. So for demo and all, you have to go and use such command. Okay. Or even for your work as well, if you are dealing in this Linux environment, you have to go in. So the AMI, whatever I am using, it is already the updated one. So I can go ahead and install Apache and PHP. Okay. Okay, so I should be root. So that means I need this command. So I have to upgrade my privilege. Nothing to do. It is already there. Okay.
Hello,
So
Arvind.
Yeah, ma'am.
Please do share your screen.
Oh, okay. Just a moment. I'm sharing.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Hello.
I'm sharing the screen. Just a
Hello.
moment. Yeah, I can hear you. Somebody is trying to speak.
Yeah, sir. Please share your screen because someone has mistakenly started, their
Yeah.
screen sharing, and that's why it's not visible to us.
Okay. Hopefully it is now visible. Okay.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, great. So what I am trying to do, I am trying to verify whether the file that I tried to install through my command, if it is there or not. So I had tried to create that index.php file in my HTML directory. So I will go there. Other things are there. So I will go there and check whether that file is present or not. Okay. So change directory, I have to go to. Okay, this index file is copied here. Okay. So what I need to do, I now need to verify whether the Apache service is running or not. How I can do that? Okay, this service is also running. What I need to go and verify if my application index.php file is visible from the outside world or not. Okay. It is not going to be. Why? Because I have not opened that HTTP port. So it will not allow me to access that index file, the content of that index file. What I need to do, I need to go and open that particular port. Okay. So we'll come back again here, edit inbound rules, and I need to say add rule, and then select HTTP here. Because I am not attaching any SSL certificate, so even if I select HTTPS, it is not going to be of much help. And this source, I have to say anywhere. Anyone should be able to connect to my application, at least for HTTP. SSH, we can definitely restrict. Save this rule. The moment you get the confirmation message, you come back to your browser, refresh the page, you are done. Right? You will get the application. So whatever file you go. Okay? So this is about creating virtual machine and connecting to that virtual machine with the help of script. So the script and all ran properly. Only the port was missing, because of which we were not able to connect to do an SSH to our virtual machine, and number two, we were not able to view the file initially. We'll take up the questions at 11:55 or 12. We'll just go and create this load balancer setup as well. Okay. Come back. We will now add load balancer. Now, why load balancer is needed? For equal distribution of workload. So if you have say more than one virtual machine, you have to ensure that all these virtual machines, these two virtual machines, are evenly loaded. That means if at any point of time 10 users are connected to your application, those users should be equally distributed across these two virtual machines, 5 on one, 5 on the other. So what elastic load balancer does, it goes and verifies whether first of all, it verifies whether your instance is healthy or not, whether your instance is running or not. And based on that, it connects a particular user to your virtual machine, right? So what we will do, we will just create a virtual machine, a classic one, The steps and all are already shared. Come to this load balancing and then click on load balancer. Okay. So I'm already having one load balancer which I will go and delete. Right. I don't need this load balancer. I'll create a new one. Okay. Create a new load balancer and then click on create. So there are three different types of load balancer. Every load balancer is there for different purpose. So we'll just, for the demo, we will use the most basic one. In these three, only application load balancer and classic load balancer are not chargeable. They both come under free tier, but network load balancer are chargeable. Network load balancer are required for very high workloads, like in case of your e-commerce sale and all, where lakhs of users are connected to your application, to the e-commerce application. There you need network load balancer for better performance and efficiency. In case you don't use a network load balancer, then you have to go and use multiple number of application load balancers. So for creating a load balancer, I'll just give it a name. I will just give it a name. Classic load balancer. Right. I need to select in which VPC it should be there. I have to configure listener, because again, load balancer is a different, it's a different configuration, a different service, a different resource. EC2 is different. So how this, why will need this listener configuration for even distribution of the workload? So using this, Amazon load balancer connects to your EC2 instance. So load balancer protocol, we can go and select multiple of them, right? We can go and select all of them based on your, again, requirement. Right now for the demo, I will just select on the load balancer HTTP, port on load balancer 80, and on instance side, I am selecting instance, this particular protocol. Okay. We have already opened this protocol through the security group. So security group are like your firewalls. It controls what all ports should be open, and based on the ports that are open, that type of access is going to be allowed. Come to the security group. So here for your load balancer and for easy communication for your load balancer to connect to your load EC2 instance, the load balancer should be able to know that these are the EC2 instance which are within the scope of this particular load balancer. Now how this is decided? This is decided based on the security group. So we will select the same security group that we selected for our EC2 instance, right? So this was the security group that I selected, and the description says that HTTP and SSH will be allowed through this load balancer. So when load balancer comes into existence, your user are going to connect to your EC2 instance through the load balancer and not directly to the EC2 instance. Okay. We'll go ahead. It's going to obviously give us a warning because we have, for listener configuration, we have selected HTTP. So if you go and select HTTPS, you will not get this type of warning. Health check. You have to specify the file, right? How it find out the health of your virtual machine with it goes and perform a ping operation, right? And for that ping operation, it needs a file. So we will use the same index file to perform this or to complete this ping operation. And these are some of the response time. So it is going to. So this, as I initially told you, it performs two different kind of work. Number one, it keeps on checking the health of the virtual machine. Doesn't matter if any user is connected to your application. It is going to do this check on a very continuous basis. What should be that interval? First check is performed. When should it go and perform the second check? You can specify that interval here. Right? So from anywhere between 5 to 300 seconds, you can specify here. Response timeout. When this communication between load balancer and your virtual machine happens, how much time, how much second your load balancer should be waiting to get a response from your virtual machines. This again is something that we can specify anytime, anywhere between 2 to 60 seconds. Unhealthy threshold and healthy threshold. So if your virtual machine is down, then again Amazon is going to continue to perform a check to identify whether that particular virtual machine is available again or not, becomes healthy again or not. And if it is healthy, then it will keep on checking the healthiness, whether it has gone down or not, right? And whatever the value is, the threshold that we specify, for these many consecutive positive response, it is going to convert a particular virtual machine from healthy to unhealthy state. And whenever we are, attaching any new instance to a load balancer, or whenever we are registering a new instance to a load balancer, then by default, load balancer assume that this particular instance is unhealthy or down, and it will mark it as out of service or not accessible. Out of service is the message that you will get from the elastic load balancer dashboard. And after that, it is going to perform a health check to find out whether it is reachable or not. And if the test passes based on the parameter that we are specifying here, it is going to mark it as healthy, and then it becomes accessible. Add EC2 instance. We can go and add this instance from here, right? So this instance is going to be registered with this load balancer. Okay, so you can say click on add tags. Cross-zone load balancing means if you have your EC2 instance distributed across your availability zone, you should go and select this option. And connection training, it is mainly required in case of your auto scaling when your certain instance is marked for deletion. And if a particular user is connected, yes, ma'am.
Sir, can you please share the screen again? Because
okay.
someone shared their screen.
No problem. I'll do that. I think it is showing me, I'm only presenting it. Just check again, ma'am.
It's visible.
Others can also, because it is showing you that you are presenting.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir,
It is
you are visible.
Okay,
Yes.
great, ma'am. Thank you so much. So we have to register, right? And this connection training, if a user is connected to a particular instance and that instance has been marked by auto scaling group for deletion, then it will wait for these many seconds for that user to complete its existing operation. You can go and add a tag and say, something like environment, whatever the example says, right? So it's our okay, and then just go to review and create. So this we created. So this much we have to do. Right. So I'll show you the moment you create your load balancer and come to your instance, you will see that this particular instance is marked as out of service. That means this instance is not reachable from your load balancer. How to reach your your application which is deployed on EC2 instance from the load balancer? We need the DNS name of the load balancer. Okay. So this we have to copy, and then we can verify this from the browser. Change the status from out of service to in service. Why we are getting this message? Because right now load balancer has marked this instance as unhealthy, and once the instance is marked as unhealthy, load balancer immediately starts performing the health check. So it is right now performing the health check. The moment the health check completes and the load balancer ensures that this instance is reachable, the state is going to change to in service, and then you will be able to access this application from the browser. So while it is showing us out of service, we can go and just check. Are we getting anything? No, because the test is not complete. What would be the duration? The duration is going to be dependent upon the advanced settings that we have done. What should be the interval? What should be the response time? What should be the healthy or unhealthy threshold? Right? Based on that, it is going to take that much of time. Okay. Now what we need to do? We will go and rather than waiting for it, we will go and create instance through auto scaling group. Okay, because again, that's a very important concept, and this is something which is going to be there. I mean, whenever you go any basic setup as well, there you need the auto scaling group, you need a load balancer, and obviously your instance. Okay. So it will come. I mean, it will take some time, but it will be visible after some time. So what we will do right now, we will go and create an auto scaling group. Okay. Auto scaling group. Now, auto scaling group needs launch configuration, because through auto scaling group, what we are doing, we are creating instance. So auto scaling group needs some kind of template based on which it is going to create a type of instance, a type of EC2 instance. So first of all, we have to go and create a launch configuration. I am having a launch configuration, so I will go and use that launch configuration as it is. Right? Otherwise, you can go and create the launch configuration on your own. Okay? So I'll click on auto-scaling group and continue with one of the launch configuration that I am having. Okay. So maybe again, let me show you because some of you might need this. Okay. So I will go and create a launch configuration. Select. I will continue with 32 micro. Step number 3 is slightly different. I'll give it a name. Launch configuration. Okay. I'll just give it a name. Again, roll nothing. Advanced details. You can continue with the default one. And obviously, you can attach the same script here as well. Okay. So I'll go and browse that same file. Right. And attach it to here. Okay. So based on your requirement, you can go and select one particular address type. Add storage. Continue with the default date. Security group. I will attach that same security group, which is there with my EC2, which is attached to my EC2 as well as to my load balancer. Okay. Yep. And just click on review, and you are done. Right. It will ask you to attach a key pair file as well. Fine. So for this particular, I will be using my old key. You can go and continue to use your own, whatever key you want. But that key should be created in your own region. So I'm selecting this one and then create launch configuration. Okay. So my launch configuration is ready. Now I will use this launch configuration for my auto scaling group. So again, I have to give it a name, auto scaling group. And I want to start with minimum 2 instances. So for using auto scaling group, you don't need to create instance beforehand. That instance, whatever the number you specify here, based on this number, these many number of virtual machines will be created through your auto scaling group. You have to specify in which VPC or network your virtual machine should be running. And then you need to select, you can go and select all the, all possible subnets where you want to run your virtual machine, right? Because this, Amazon doesn't charge us anything for this. And it is good to have your instance within that, high availability scope. Something goes wrong with one of your AZ, still it is going to be accessible from the outside world. Okay. So click on advanced details again. Let's see what's there. You can skip this one. I mean, yeah, this is all we can skip for now. So I want to keep this group at its initial size. You can go and send notification. What is going to happen because of notification? Whenever any action happens with respect to launch, terminate, fail to launch, and fail to terminate, you are going to get a notification directly on your email. But for that, what you need to do, you need to click on create topic. And once you create topic, to that particular topic, you have to attach some email ID. So whatever the email ID are attached, they are going to get a notification. They are going to get a subscription message whether you want to subscribe to this notification or not, and then you will start. Once you accept that subscription, then only this notification will be delivered to those email IDs. I will not do that. I'll just go and say configure the tags. Demo. Click on review. And you are there in the review page and you click on create auto scaling group. So this auto scaling group is going to take your launch configuration as an input, launch configuration as a template, and then create your virtual machines or instance. Okay, so if you come back to your, let me see if it works or not. So this is the DNS name of my Elastic Load Balancer. So I can reach my instance through this load balancer as well. Okay. Now come back to the dashboard. You can see here, this is the total number of instances that I want. but it is in the process of creating it. Okay. If you look into the instance tab, it is blank. It is creating, in the process of creating, right? So we have to, initially it is going to be blank, but after some time it gets visible. Now here we can see only one. To see those two new instances from auto scaling group, I have to click this refresh button. So you can see here, these are the two instances which is coming from my auto scaling group. Okay, it is obviously going to take some time. And for these instance launched through auto scaling group, what settings I have selected? That the size of my auto scaling group should never go below 2. So if accidentally any one of these instances are deleted, it is going to be replaced automatically by a new instance. And that is the feature of load application, this auto scaling group. And this is a really cool feature, right? And if I want to integrate this this particular auto scaling group with my load balancer, what I need to do? Select your. I am there right now. I am on auto scaling group page dashboard. Auto scaling dashboard. Here you select your auto scaling group and click on action. Click on edit. And here you can go and from the drop down below you can go and select your load balancer. Right. So now all the traffic will reach your EC2 instance through this load balancer. And I don't need to register manually here. I don't need to register any instance which is created through auto scaling group with this load balancer. Because I am from this screen, I am integrating my classic load balancer with this auto scaling group. So whatever the instance that gets created out of auto scaling group, it will automatically get registered with this load balancer. And here you can go and change your capacity, right? Min capacity, at any point of time, you want these many instances to be running. Max, this is my budget. If you want, you can go and change it to say other number. Or you can set, and this desired capacity is going to vary from between 2 to 4. Right? Just click on save. And the instance which has come up through auto scaling group, it will be visible in your load balancer screen. Okay. So we'll go to that load balancer. Okay. So this is my classic load balancer that we have created. If you click on this instance tab, you will see more than one instance. Okay. One instance from the one instance that we created initially, the other two instances which got created because of auto scaling group, and we didn't register the newly created instance, manually. It automatically got registered with this load balancer. Okay. Now, if the instance is ready, we will be able to reach all these three instances through our ELB, through this classic load balancer or the load balancer DNS name. So you can see all these three instances are now running. To come back to your, now this is the DNS of my load balancer. You just keep an eye here, eye on this IP address. You will see that it starts to change. Why? Because within the scope of load balancer, there are three different instances. And every new refresh from your browser is going to act as a new request to your load balancer. And load balancer will start distributing your request evenly across all these three instances. I will just refresh my page. Okay. You can see that it is changed from 173 to 94. And again, it is going to change. Sometimes it takes. Need to check what is the third instance. Let me use a new browser. Because this load balancer caches information for for a certain TTL, and then it takes time to reflect those changes. Okay. So 94 is one of those instances. 182 is the other, and third one is third one is 173. 173 not, it is not hitting the 173 here. Okay, so what it does, it is going to hit your instance one by one. The moment you go and refresh your browser using the endpoint of or the DNS name of your load balancer. So if we check, we have these three instances. You can select one of them. Private IP is 94, the other one is 182, and the third one is 173, the one that we created earlier. So one by one, it is going to hit your, all these three instances: 194, 182, 173. Okay. 173 again, 173. So it depends upon the availability zone also, which it has assigned. If two of them are in the same availability zone, the behavior is going to be slightly different. But ultimately, it will go and ensure that all the virtual machines are evenly loaded. So this much configuration is required if you want to deploy your application on EC2 instance. Fine. I think it's time for now question answer. We can go and take the question answer. CLI we can do it tomorrow. It doesn't take much time. Hardly it will take 15 minutes. But today I wanted to spend more time on S3 and EC2, and it's good that we were able to complete a good number of concept on these two topics, because these are the two services that you will be using it on very regular basis. So it's important that we know that how to use them, how to configure it, and related PPTs and all I will share it, because this much of time may not be definitely not sufficient to talk each and everything about a particular service or resource. So I'm open for question now. I'll spend another say queries. So you can write your queries, or I think that would be good. You can write down and I will try to respond to your questions. Okay. Questions. Kishore Mahal is asking whether you should go for Windows or Linux. See, you can go for anyone, but if you want to stick with, stick within the free tier, and Kishore, if you don't want to use that payable category and still want to explore auto scaling and elastic load balancer, my suggestion is go for Linux. If you go and create a Windows based this virtual machine, that is also good, but you have to stick to one instance, right? And to connect to your Windows instance, you have to do an RDP instead of SSH. That's it. Okay. Others. Okay. Deepika is asking about which parameter determines the maximum amount of resource that a virtual machine can consume. Okay, which parameter determines the maximum amount of resource that a virtual machine can consume? See, that you have to decide at the time of selecting the instance type. And once you select a particular instance type, in that particular instance type comes with a particular bandwidth. There will be a certain number of virtual CPUs attached to it, certain amount of RAM, processing power or speed. So these all are specific to a particular instance, right? And if you want to monitor the consumption rate of those parameters or resources, you have to go and create a matrix in CloudWatch, and from there you can monitor how those parameters are behaving, whether you are hitting a particular saturation point, or whether you want to whether you need some additional storage for your need. You can go and do it. You can monitor it from CloudWatch and then verify, right? How much resources your virtual machine is going to be consumed? Primarily, it is going to be based on your application, how good the application is written, and what kind of workload that your application can handle. If it is a web application, then how many users can connect to your application within the number of virtual machines that you have launched. If you think that, suppose thousand number of users are connected at one point of time to your virtual machine, then definitely it is going to hit certain number of resources that you have to monitor through CloudWatch. Right. Next question, to connect remote system. Okay, Josna was asking about to connect remote system using PuTTY. Yeah, we have to use PuTTY if we are using a Windows machine. But in Windows 10 machine, if you have enabled Bash, then you can go and directly use that SSH command that I showed you on the screen, right? Select the instance, click on connect button, and it will give you the command that you need to run from your SSH client. Okay, how do you, Shyam Deshmukh is asking, how do you deploy a WordPress website along with a database? See, for WordPress, you can take a couple of approach. Number one, if you want to do everything on EC2 and you don't want to take the help of RDS, obviously you have to go and create a virtual machine where you will be deploying your WordPress application. You have to go and create a virtual machine, and on top of that virtual machine you have to install your database, right? Ideally what we do, we keep one particular, and these two virtual machines you can go and keep it in one subnet in a particular availability zone. And for better security, what you can do, you can keep your WordPress application in your one subnet, and in the other subnet you will keep your database, okay, MySQL. And you have to configure the security group, and whatever the instance on which you are running your database, to that database you will not assign a public IP address. Public IP address is not needed for your instance which are running a database instance. And then the rest all is based on your application. You can find on your local machine, it will work on your EC2 instance. But obviously for your WordPress, you have to first of all create a virtual machine, set up the environment, start your services, and then deploy your application database. If you want to take help of Beanstalk, you can go and do that as well. If you don't want to use MySQL through EC2, what you can do? Go and create a RDS database instance, right? And that RDS instance should be created within your VPC in which your WordPress is present. And then you can go and using the VPC, whenever you create a database instance, you will get the user ID. You have to create a user profile, password, those kind of configuration you have to go and do. And using that configuration, you can link your database to your WordPress application, which is running on an EC2 instance. Shyam, if you need exact steps, I can share you, a particular document is there, using which you can go and do that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Nisha is asking, please suggest how can we clear certification exam. Okay, on certification, I will be talking on the last day, and I hope you present on that day because it is going to take some 10-15 minutes of time because there are 12 different certification and we need to discuss some point how to target a particular certification. So I will take your question definitely, but we'll take it on the last day. That's on Sunday. See, Uday Kumar is asking any external tools for connecting these AWS instances. See, if it is a Linux-based, virtual machine, PuTTY is an external tool. It is not created by Amazon, but Amazon, they have tested it and they say that this tool is safe, and that's the reason we are using PuTTY. PuTTY is not from Amazon. Okay, and apart from that, you can go and use any SSH client. Right now, I showed you, right? This particular SSH client is known as Git Bash. Right? You can use Git Bash. If you have enabled Bash on your machine, you can just go and run your Bash environment directly from Windows. Right? Bash Unix cell, and then just start running your command. If you're running Bash on, this is not the one. I don't think what happened. So if you have enabled Bash, it is going to be visible from your screen. You can go and run it. I don't know because of the current. Okay. So this is the screen. I mean, if you can see here, this is the Bash environment from Windows 10 Pro machine, and this is good. I mean, you can run suppose. Right. So for if you want to list the content of a particular directory in Windows, what you do, you run this ls command for listing. Okay? So it is going to list you. But from the same, if you want to run cmd command for listing the content of a particular directory, you can go ahead and dir as well. So both the commands. There's the advantage of using Bash from Windows directly. You can use window-based command as well as Linux-based command from the same tool. Okay. So it is not. Amazon doesn't give us any specific tool. They just suggest. Okay, well, I'll go to next question. Yes, Shyam, I think I have answered your question. You have asked database like MySQL. You can use whatever database you want. That's your choice. Any kind of security breach. Veera is asking about Veera Manikam. Sorry, my pronunciation is wrong. Veera is asking about the security breach attack in AWS services. See, Amazon, they have amazing amount of inbuilt security for their services. So in the recent past, I haven't come across any such attack because they have separate service for avoiding any kind of DDoS attack, distributed denial attack. Right? There is a concept of OWASP, if you know. So in OWASP, they categorize 10 major security concerns, and Amazon takes care of those 10, and apart from that, it takes care of a lot of things. There are tools like WAF, Web Application Firewall, which is specifically for the security of your application. You just need to go and enable it, but obviously there will be charges. There is a particular security related tool with the name Shield. There is again a tool which is known as Advanced Shield. There are 15-20 different tools that you can obviously use. Apart from that, if you want to use any, if you want to go ahead with some custom approach, you can obviously go and take that. But security within Amazon, they say that it is our responsibility, and they have the best engineers to ensure that any kind of breach doesn't happen. Even for your case, for your in case also like in our team also, when we have to go and perform some kind of penetration testing, right? We have to go and first of all contact their support team saying that we will be performing penetration testing on this. For this, we will be creating 1 lakh 1 lakh bots or artificial users to simulate some environment. We have to go and take permission. We have to contact the support team, talk about the window in which we will be performing this test, and then only then this kind of testing will be allowed. Otherwise, the default security feature is going to block any kind of testing, penetration testing that we are trying to perform on our own application. Okay, so security is quite good there. Archana is asking, could you highlight on GPU configuration machine? Okay, see, if you go and, in the step number 2 of EC2 instance creation, if you just scroll down, you will come to know what GPU configuration you will get for a particular category of instance type. Right? But whatever is there, it is good enough to support, most of the workload, because most of the, entire, enterprise workload are also running on Amazon. So they have what exactly you are looking for. Maybe I will show you this tomorrow. Otherwise, you can go to step number 2 of your virtual machine or instance creation, and there you can list down. You can just scroll down and find out the GPU configuration of a particular machine. Or you can just, if it is not there, what you're looking for, you can obviously search in Amazon documentation. Okay, and it's online. All on Amazon documentation are online. I'm always asking in Glacier data store with the replication or without replication. Okay, see. In Glacier, see, that's what I said. It doesn't matter where your data is, in which category, in which class, basically, in which class you are storing your data, right? You will be getting that benefit of, durability of 11 nines, right? The durability is going to be there. that durability is only going to be restricted once you select storage tier as zone 1 IA, zone 1 infrequent access. In that case, your data is going to be there in only one availability zone, but again in that availability zone also Amazon is going to maintain multiple copies of your data, right? But the durability in one zone IA also you get 11.9. But if that particular availability zone goes down, then it becomes difficult to access your data. So whether you are using Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive, there also it is going to maintain multiple copies. See, the word replication is used in a different context, Amol, in S3. When we say replication, then if you're talking with somebody who is working in AWS S3 and you talk about replication means whatever the data that you are on from your side, whatever the data you are uploading in S3 bucket, that same data you want to maintain copy at your level. See, what Amazon is doing behind the scene, that is fine. We know about it. But at one point of time, we will be accessing only one of that particular physical device. But if consciously, if you want to maintain replication of your data, what you can do, you have to first of all create one more bucket. And this bucket you can create in the same region. You can go and create it in some other region as well. So in replication, there are two ways of achieving replication. One replication you can achieve through a concept of SRR, same region replication, in which you have to create your destination bucket in the same region. And if you want it in some other region, you have to use the concept of CRR, cross-region replication. And once this is configured, you have to enable versioning on both these buckets. And the moment you upload a file or object in your source bucket, it automatically gets copied to your destination bucket. Okay, so that is the concept of replication. Pavan Kumar Kulkarni is asking, if we lost the key, is there any option to recover that key? See, there is no option of recovering that key. That is for sure. If you lose the key, obviously you will never be able to retrieve it, because in the demonstration also I showed you that once you go and create it there, but if you somehow gets deleted from your machine, then obviously you have to go and create a new machine, a new key pair, and this particular key pair you have to use to retrieve your again connect to your EC2 instance. But that is a way. Again, you have to go and create a new EC2 instance and move your EC2 EBS storage to that newly created instance, and then your instance will become accessible or available again. So your instance will not be lost, but once you lose your key, it's gone. But then, okay, static website hosting. I will, Kishore Mahale, you have done it. Okay, it's fine. Otherwise, I will show you this static website hosting using the domain name on Saturday or Sunday. Okay, Saurabh is asking any technical comparison between EC2 versus rack space in terms of number of VM storage, fault tolerance, etc. See, I haven't worked on rack space, but if you if you can Google, you can definitely find out good comparison. I haven't worked on rack space as such. Again, okay, Nirmala is asking, how do I delete a virtual machine instance after completing the task? So I am now on EC2 dashboard, and sorry, this is load balancer. So for the initial instance that I had created, I can go and select action, instance state, terminate. So I can say terminate here. So this instance will go. It is going to be terminated. But if you want to delete, now in case this one more thing I wanted to show you. If you go and try to delete one instance from your auto scaling group, it is going to be replaced by one more. Okay. So to get rid of your instance created through your auto scaling group, you have to go and delete the auto scaling group itself. You can keep launch configuration with you because Amazon doesn't charge us for creating launch configuration. So if I go and delete the instance which was created through the auto scaling group, it will get deleted, but auto scaling group is going to identify this and it will go and create a new instance as a replacement. Why? Because while creating the auto scaling group, we have specified that at any point of time, at least 2 instances should be up and running. Okay, so we'll wait for this, and then I'll show you how it reappears again. Let me take other questions as well. Shyam, traditional URL with the cloud-based. Okay, Shyam Deshmukh is asking, how do I map existing traditional URL with the cloud-based URL once I deploy my existing website? Oh, this I will show you. I told you. I will show you on the last day of Route 53. There we have to go and use Route 53. Okay. The last question is, how AWS is working on memory optimization techniques for data storage and retrieval? See, Viramani, you're asking about how AWS is working on memory optimization. See, they obviously go and take care of, memory. If you're talking about, RAM, right? Memory. Whenever we say memory, that implicitly it means you're talking about RAM. So based on this understanding, RAM, you can obviously go and select whatever your need is. But if you're talking in terms of storage, that storage you have to, understand what kind of storage you will need. And for, if you're talking about how this data storage and all can be maintained properly, so in case of your virtual machines, your EC2, so a data center memory optimization, I literally don't know, because that is something which is, I'm not from a data center background, so I don't know exactly how they do it. But if you talk about cloud and all, they don't disclose how they are doing it on their side. What they say is, you can go and select a particular instance type, and to that instance type, whatever the memory or RAM we are associating, that you will definitely get. If you want to increase that RAM, you have to go and select a different EC2 instance type. Okay, then it will be, accessible to you. But if you're talking about the storage you can go and attach later on also, right? So you will see here. I'll go and use this. Okay, so suppose if you want to add some more storage, right? For that, what you need to do? We started with 8 GB, but now you need some additional 8 GB of storage. How you can do that? Come to your, come to this location. Yeah, block store. Click on volumes. So these EBS stores are also known as volumes. So what you can do, you can go and just, first you have to verify where exactly your instance is running, okay, in which availability zone. And in that same availability zone, you have to create additional storage, and then you have to mount it or attach it to your existing running EC2 instance. Okay. So right now, I am trying to see, you can see here, this auto scaling group it has started creating one more instance. Why? Because I tried to terminate one of the instance which was created through auto scaling group. And it is creating it, so ideally it is replacing the one that I terminated. Why? Because the group size I specified for the auto scaling group was 2. So it is going to maintain that count of 2 at any cost. Coming back to increasing the storage of a virtual machine, you can do it from the, so what I am going to, verify that in which availability zone this instance is running. So it is in 1C. So US East 1C is the code for the availability zone in North Virginia. So in this availability zone, I have to go and create a volume. Okay, so I'll go and create a volume in this particular region. Okay, so I will click on create. Okay, this is a bit old, and this is in some other. Okay, so I'll just get rid of this because I don't want to go beyond that, here. So I will create a volume. Click on create volume. See, whatever I am doing manually, this all can be automated, right? So in production, we go and automate this. And here I can go and continue with this one, or else I can go and select any one of these. Okay. And then you can select your size, stick with 8 to whatever minimum you can go for 1, or you can go and select whatever is your budget. Okay. Most important, you need to select the AZ. Right. My is running in 1C. You have to go and copy the snapshot related to your current running volume. paste it here, and then just click on create, and that volume is going to be created. Once the volume is created, what you can do, from this particular screen on this dashboard, you have to select that volume and then click on attach. This attach is disabled here. Why? Because this volume is already attached to a particular instance. So in this way, you can go and increase your storage for a EC2 instance. Okay. Any other question? Hopefully, I am done with all the questions. If you have any question left, you can just unmute and speak out, and we will complete in next 2-3 minutes. Sorry, ma'am, am I done?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Avi sir, for wonderful session.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
In today's session, we came to know about the simple storage service S3, AWS command line interface, and virtual machines, load balancer, and auto scaling.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you, sir, for the today's session. In tomorrow's session, we will be discussing about the Amazon Relation Database Service, understanding AWS default virtual, private cloud, and configuration network in AWS cloud. Thank you all the participants for attending the today's session. Okay, so after the session.
Hello, madam. Are you sending me the link?
Hello.
Hello, are you sending the link for your today's session?
Yes, sir. I will. Yes, madam. I will share the link of today's session, recorded session. Plus, I will share the attendance also for today's session.
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Also, I have shared one Google folder with the participants, so you can download the PPT